I've lived in New York on and off, not enough to pay taxes here, but on and off for a while. And I've seen it only get more expensive and more boring and more corporate. Now, I'm not saying I long for the days of dangerous New York, because, by the way, I was like 9. Most people who want that New York back never lived in it at all. They're all nostalgic for a time that, that was back when like a Rockette would have a knife in her back in Central Park. That was a big story. There was a Rockette with a knife in her back in the park, and it was on the cover like the Daily News and stuff, and people were like, maybe it's time to start cleaning this up. And then Giuliani came in because it was getting hairy out there. That was that kind of New York. And you'd be walking in the park, jogging, whatever, and there'd just be a Rockette with a butcher knife sticking out of her back. And a lot of people, so that was the old New York, and sure, it was, if you visited New York and saw that, you had a story. It was a better story than, hey, do you know how crowded the Raising Cane's in Times Square was? I'll give you that. Here's what I will give you. Visiting New York and saying, I got blown in the bathroom of CBGB by someone, I didn't know if they were a man or a woman. And then I woke up in an apartment that I'd never been in before. I went on the roof. I smoked a cigarette with some chick who talked about Buddhism. Then I went down to take a walk in the park to clear my head, and I saw a girl with a butcher knife hanging out of her back who was very, very long legs. Turned out she was a Rockette, one of the Rockettes, because this girl with the butcher knife was a Rockette. And that's a real story that someone would have told and has told who visited New York. Now the stories in New York are like, yeah, there's the Raising Cane's in Times Square, and it's too crowded, so we didn't get it. We didn't get it because there were a lot of people in it, and because we didn't get it. So we then went to see a Broadway show. So we got tickets to the Trish Paytas musical review, but we couldn't, and we wanted to do a Raising Cane's mukbang and tag her because she likes chicken fingers, but we couldn't do it. And then our flight at Newark Airport was delayed like 4 hours, and it was crazy. So I just sat there and went on my phone and I scrolled through apps and I just looked at people's faces and I wondered if they felt anything, because I didn't. And I wondered what would make me feel. And then for a brief moment I looked at these big, beautiful planes through the glass windows of Newark Airport, and I wondered, what would it feel like if one of them, instead of landing on the runway, just crashed in here? And everyone started screaming and yelling, and the last thing I saw was the fire. Would I feel the fuel as it burned my skin? What would it feel like to die? Would I know I was dying? Would I die and go somewhere else? Would people I know be there, like my friends and my family? What will happen, and what was the meaning of all of this? Why am I dying? Is it because I didn't go to Raising Cane's? Should I have stayed on the line? Is it a weird final destination because I didn't eat the chicken finger? And just as I was having that thought, they said the plane was boarding and the flight was easy, no turbulence. We landed in Phoenix at 11:06.